saying that she was not aligned with the Trump agenda of making America healthy again. The White House says CDC Director Dr. Susan Minares has been fired. At the same time, several other top CDC officials called it quits. On Wall Street, ahead of this morning's opening bell, the Dow futures are up 36 points. NASDAQ futures down 29. The S&P futures are off 2 points. More details, srnnews.com.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But what if you could get both? Why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied too. We know this from research of members. There's a lot they like about MediShare, but especially they love being part of something they believe in. And MediShare works too. It has for more than 30 years. There are hundreds of thousands of members who love having telehealth if they need it. They love the huge PPO network. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or you're part of the gig economy or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Call 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
A farm without fuel is like peanut butter without jelly or Batman without a cape. It just ain't going to work. But with Mittens of Oakley on your speed dial, everything is going to be as smooth as a puppy's tongue when it comes to farm fuel, DEF, and lubricants. Lucas Run and Ruggles will make sure you're ready to rock and roll with petroleum products from Mittens. Call him at 785-672-3062 for fuel, DEF, Avgas, jet fuel, or lube. A Mittens delivery truck will be headed your way in short order. Online at mitteninc.com. Mittens of Oakley, delivering value for over 54 years.
Convenience just got an upgrade. Farmers State Bank of Oakley is excited to announce the opening of our brand new ATM along Highway 40, right next to Sonic Drive-In. Whether you're grabbing a snack or on the go, you can quickly access your cash without the detour. It's banking made easy, right where you need it. Farmers State Bank of Oakley, member FDIC.
Morning clouds and fog with scattered showers moving off to the east. Then this afternoon become partly sunny and slightly warmer with highs in the middle 70s. Afternoon and evening storms look like they'll mostly stay out to the west in Colorado, with northeast winds turning to the southeast at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Overnight lows will drop to around 60, and then for tomorrow and Saturday, a high-pressure ridge to the south and west will weaken with low-pressure trough moving in from the Pacific. Thus, the late afternoon and evening storms coming out of Colorado look more likely with some risk for damaging winds of 50 to 60 miles per hour and locally heavy 1 to 2 inch rains. Skies will be partly sunny to mostly sunny at times. Highs will be in the upper 70s to low 80s and lows in the upper 50s to low 60s. Sunday and on Labor Day, the storm chances look less likely. Highs will be 80 to 85, lows 55 to 60. This meteorologist Chris Schromick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
This season, the Mile High Magic is live on Rocket 102.5. Every hit, every pick, every end zone dance, we've got it all.
5-man pressure. Rogers hit before he throws it. Sack! P.J. Locke bounced up into the air, bounced again, and then caught by Devon Vele. Touchdown, Denver.
Brought to you by
Vince's GM Center, Proxy Feed Yard Imperial Beef, Simpleman Jewelry, Tubbs & Sons Ford Sales, F&B Bank, and Hurl Chevrolet GMC.
your home for Denver Broncos football. Rocket 102.5.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The insurance agency. Insurance the way it should be.
When you gotta go, but there's nowhere to go, who you gonna call? Topside Portables and Pumping, that's who. Weddings, job sites, farm parties, they've got clean, reliable porta potties that don't stink, literally. And if your septic tank smells worse than last year's chili cook-off, they'll pump it out fast. No mess, no fuss. Family owned, Heartland values, always ready. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. When duty calls, they answer.
Summer's ending, school's here, and Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland has the trucks to keep you moving. A 2025 Sierra 3500 Pro, $1,000 purchase allowance or 3.9% for 48 months. A 3500 Denali, $2,000 purchase allowance or 3.9%. Or Sierra 1500 over a $6,000 purchase allowance or 0% APR for 36 months. Make this school year the smoothest ride yet. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas, or shop online anytime at hurlchev.com.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pest Away in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pest Away today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
The amount of money getting thrown around to quarterbacks who haven't done diddly squat is amazing to me.
The High Plains only local sports talk show.
Knows what he's talking about.
Broadcasting live on Rocket 102.5 and streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Not this again.
Yes, this again.
Covering it all from the preps.
Fastball swing and a miss and a strikeout there for Kaysen Cedarstrom.
To the pros.
Mahomes keeps it on an RPO at the 5. Gets a lead block. He goes into the end zone near side. Touchdown, Kansas City.
The Blitz is presented by Hurl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank. Along with the insurance agency, the Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
Line drive, base hit. That will do it. Martinez scores. Book it. In 10. The Guardians take the series on an 0-2 walk-off hit by Kyle Manzardo with 2
Deep
outs.
center field. Taylor is back at the wall, and it hits the top of the wall, and it's a home run. First base umpire Chris Siegel ruled that it hit the wall, then the railing, and came back into play. And if it stands, that's a 3-run home run for Yastrzemski. And the Royals will have a 10-run lead.
Listen to the noise from the Grimsby fans. A Quavo off the crossbar. Grimsby have beaten Manchester United in the most dramatic circumstances.
Nothing like a soccer highlight or a football highlight to get your Thursday rolling here. Hi, on the Morning Blitz. Glad you joined us here on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 or NWKSradio.net or even the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. Thank you so much for tuning in here on a Thursday. It's August the 28th as we are getting closer to wrapping up another week and pretty much wrapping up the month of August as we get closer and closer to doing that. It's a humongous day. Really, college football week 1 gets going today with 17 different games on the college football slate. Here on this Thursday, that'll transition into Friday and then all the way through Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. It's the first day of 5 consecutive days of college football. We've officially made it to college football season. I know, yes, last week we had some week 0 games, and those were fantastic, and I'm not going to drag those down in any way, shape, or form. But we have now officially gotten into the swing of the football season. Tonight, Nebraska opens up its 2025 season in Arrowhead, taking on the Bearcats of Cincinnati. It's just the second meeting all time between these two programs and the first one since 1906. It's been a while since these two teams have met. So we'll be talking about Nebraska's football schedule, also Colorado's football schedule. We did it last week. I went through the schedule, made my predictions for Kansas and Kansas State. And today we will do it for Colorado and Nebraska and go diving into those schedules and get you a season prediction on those 4 teams as they get set to open up their seasons here in the next day, or either tonight or tomorrow. So we will be doing that here on the Morning Blitz. We'll be visiting with Golden Plains head football coach Travis Smith. It was an eventful summer for him in his personal life. He got married, and he's got himself a really darn good football team as well in six-man football in Golden Plains this year. So look forward to visiting with him about that coming up here in our second segment. And then our third segment of the day, I will give you my thoughts on Goodland drink scrimmage. Went and watched some of the Cowgirls volleyball, went and watched some of the Goodland Cowboy football team last night. I'll give you my thoughts on the drink scrimmage from last night and a few other thoughts. Also visited with, cross country, golf, tennis coaches and athletes. Just kind of give you a few of my thoughts as we get set to get the 2025-2026 school year athletics going. Actually, it begins today. I know, actually, really, truly, it started Tuesday. There was JV tennis, which I try not to dabble too much in the JV. It's hard enough to follow all the varsity stuff. But varsity-wise, Goodland tennis at Waukene here tonight. And so we'll get you some thoughts on that. So anyway, that's all coming up here on the Morning Blitz. As always, if you'd like to chime in through the F&B Bank text line, you're welcome to do so at 785-899-2222. Once again, that is the number for the F&B Bank text line. And Andy already chiming in with a ranked matchup in Hayes tonight. I believe he means Fort Hays State Tigers taking on, I don't know, who are they taking on tonight, Andy? I don't even know that, to be honest with you. That sounds terrible, but I guess I don't know that. I do know that my alma mater, Northwest Missouri State, is up in Mankato, Minnesota. I do know that, and that's where former Goodland Cowboy Brett Eyrig is probably at, up in Mankato, Minnesota. So I don't know. I have to look at see what the matchup is tonight for Fort Hays. Let's see. Angelo State, is that? It looks like that's what it is. This a ranked game though? Yeah, Angelo State, number 12. So number 12 and number 20. So a top 20 matchup. Thank you, Andy, for that. I did not realize that. I appreciate you chiming in with that. Very, very good. So so full show ahead today. Get your thoughts and comments in throughout the program. Would love to hear from you. Let's get things rolling here in segment number one. Like I mentioned last week, we dove into Kansas's and Kansas State's football schedules, went through those, made my predictions. Once again, if you missed it, I said Kansas State would probably finish 9-3. I had them losing to Iowa State so far, right on that. I had Kansas, I think, in the 7-win mark, and but I did have them beating Fresno State. So far, which once again, we're only a game in, I am correct. Now, where will we go wrong today is the real question. So starting off with Nebraska, which once again today, my beloved Cornhuskers kick off their season against Cincinnati down in Arrowhead on ESPN. If you'd like to watch that tonight, kickoff is at 8 Central, 7 o'clock Mountain Time. For our further east listeners, so if you're in the Colby area, if you're in Hoxie, if you're a Husker fan and you live a little bit further to the east, just a little bit, I did notice that fellow radio station KFNF is now a Husker football affiliate. So if you want to go to 101.1 tonight, if you're over further east, you can listen to Husker football on the Husker Sports Radio Network. I did not know that. I just came across a graphic that saw that, and I was like, what do you know? And then, of course, I tried to tune in to see if I could hear it, and I was just out of reach. Could not make it work. So no, I'll still be listening through the app more than likely. But Nebraska opens up its season tonight against Cincinnati. There's a lot of expectation. I don't want to say a lot of expectations. I think locally, like around, in the state of Nebraska, fans who follow the program closely, the coaches and players, I mean, they have their expectations. There's a confidence in the locker room, it seems like, reading and listening to a lot of stuff, talking about this upcoming season. A lot of confidence amongst players and coaches that they can get it done. I think the fans are still very apprehensive after a lot of years where there's been some positive offseason momentum and then it comes crashing down at the end. So, like I said, there's confidence though in the team, and I'm very curious to see that tonight against Cincinnati if they can come out and play well. They're going to have a humongous advantage in the crowd. From what I've heard, over 80% of the crowd probably is going to be from Nebraska at Arrowhead, and it's going to be very loud. very ruckus environment for Cincinnati. It's going to be like a home game for Nebraska, even though it is not in Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. So I think tonight Nebraska gets it done, but I have to see it. There have been plenty of these games where Nebraska has opened up on week 0. They've opened up early in the season against a Power 5, Power 4 opponent, and they fell to pieces. And so I have to believe it to see it. I do think, though, they're able to get a win tonight just because they are playing in a game where they're going to have mostly the home crowd behind them. They're going to have to really shoot themselves in the foot to lose this game, although they could do that, to be completely honest with you. When I'm breaking down Nebraska's 2025 season, this is a very gettable schedule. I think, some of the experts call it one of the easier schedules in all the Big Ten. I would agree with that. It is a very gettable schedule here in 2025. If they can get past Cincinnati tonight, I think they are 3-0 because they've got games against Akron and Houston Christian before they take on Michigan on September 20th at home. And so you've got Cincinnati, Akron, Houston Christian, and then Michigan. I think if Nebraska comes out and plays the way that they have discussed and the confidence that they have shown through this summer camp, I believe we're going to see them take care of Cincinnati, win their first 3 games, be 3-0 going into Michigan. And I think that early season momentum with a big game against Michigan in the afternoon on CBS, I think they're able to pull off that upset. And maybe that's just me looking through rosy red sunglasses. But I think they get off to a 4-0 start. I really do. I think they find a way to beat Cincinnati, and I think that momentum carries them into that into those second and third weeks, and then into the fourth week against Michigan, where I think they're able to get that upset. I think Michigan has a lot of question marks. They will be good. They will be talented, but they've got a young freshman quarterback that they're going to start in Bryce Underwood, very talented. But they're going to have a lot of question marks other places, although they will be good in the trenches. And that is always a problem for every team because that's where football games are won. After that, there's 3 games next after that for Nebraska's schedule. So after a 4-0 start, probably in the top 25, then they've got Michigan State at home, at Maryland, at Minnesota. My prediction is Nebraska is going to go 2-1 in that slate. 2-1 over the course of those games. I don't know if it's a loss at Minnesota or a loss at home to Michigan State. I feel like there is a slip up somewhere in there. Michigan State, to me, is a team that I think is getting overlooked. I think they're going to be much improved underneath a really good football coach in Jonathan Smith. I do think Maryland is probably a win. They've got some issues there. I remember Big Ten Football Media Days, their head coach Mike Loxley talking about how he lost the locker room last year. That's never a good sign. I know it's a new year, but still. And going to Minnesota on a Friday night on October the 17th, I look at that game and I'm like, that's always a challenge. Beating Minnesota is hard for Nebraska. Minnesota and PJ Fleck kind of have Nebraska's number. And so that's been a difficult task. So like I said, I don't know who it lost to. It's either Michigan State or Minnesota, in my opinion, but there is a loss in that 3-game span there. There is a loss. And if I had to put my money on it, I'm going to say probably Minnesota. I'm going to say probably, I guess I'm going to say Michigan State at home. I don't know why. I think Nebraska is going to be ready for Minnesota. That was the season opening loss in Matt Rule's tenure. I think they're hungry to get a revenge game for that. But the Michigan State game, that's a team that really, and Nebraska struggled with up there a couple of years ago in Matt Rule's first season. I don't know. I don't know who it is for sure. I just feel like there is a loss in one of those 3 October games, either Michigan State or Minnesota, in that Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota kind of reel right there. So Nebraska loses its first game. Still, though, they're 6-1, already bowl eligible going into the end of October, where they pick up another win against Northwestern. So they are 7-1. Once again, in the top 25, more than likely before they get to November, where once again, it has been a very tough month for Nebraska as the month of November. They have really struggled. And I think over the last 4 games in the month of November, they end up going 2-2. I think they probably lose at home to USC. I think USC is going to have a really good bounce back here. They have a lot of talent. And Lincoln Riley is kind of, to an extent, coaching for his job. So I think Nebraska is able to lose that game to USC at home. But they go on the road and beat UCLA in a revenge game after losing that game at home last year. Then they have to go to Penn State, who I predict is going to be in the top 5 all season long. They've got so much talent back. I think that's a loss for Nebraska. And then they return home on Friday, November 28th. And I just think even though Nebraska has struggled with Iowa so much, it's at home. They were so close last year. I think this is the year that they get it done at home. And so I've got Nebraska at 9-3 in the 2025 season. I think there's And there's always chances for more losses, no doubt about it. And there's more chances for more wins too. They could maybe be a 10-win team if they don't have a slip-up game in October, but I just got a gut feeling that there's going to be a slip-up game somewhere in October, and the month of November is challenging, where I think they go 2-2. And I can't see getting double-digit wins this year. I know Matt Rule has this trend over the course of his career. Year 3, they get to double-digit wins. I just don't see it this year. Maybe next year if they have the 9-3 type season that I see this year. But I just don't know. The schedule sets up for a double-digit win season. I got to believe it to see it. Or sorry, I have to see it to believe it. Excuse me. So I've got Nebraska 9-3 in the 2025 season with losses to either Michigan State or Minnesota, one of those two, USC and Penn State. Those are the losses I have for Nebraska in the 2025 season. So Cornhuskers kick off their season here tonight against Cincinnati on ESPN. You can watch that game on 7 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Central. Going to be a late night for Husker fans for sure. Let's go to Colorado, where our good Colorado friend Craig chimes in and says, come on, buddy. Nobody cheers for Nebraska. I beg to differ. I see plenty of Husker plates and Husker fans around all the time in Northwest Kansas, Eastern Colorado, and of course our listeners in Southwest Nebraska like Steve up in Binkelman. Don't tell me they don't like the Huskers. I know that they do, Craig. But we will talk some Colorado football, who does kick off their season coming up here on Friday, is where the Colorado Buffaloes will kick things off here Friday night against Georgia Tech is who they will face off against. And, looking at the Friday night slate, or looking at these games on Friday night with Colorado, Georgia Tech, I think Colorado's schedule overall, and with the question marks that they have at a lot of spots. Now, a lot of these questions could be answered in the first game, but I just have so many questions, and I think a lot of people do, about Colorado. I mean, the offense was so explosive in the first 2 years underneath Coach Prime. Defense was very bad in year 1, better in year 2. I got to think it'll even be a little bit better in year 3, but the offense has got to take a step back, right? I mean, I'm not following Colorado day in and day out, but that would be my thought. It's going to take some sort of a step back. Now, Caden Slater, who they did name as the starting quarterback, is a very talented guy. We talked about it yesterday. He's thrown for over 6,000 yards and over 50-plus touchdowns there at Liberty. Ran for the 2,000 yards. I mean, he could get a lot of yards, and he's going to be a big difference maker for them. And they still have some weapons on the outside, but I just don't know how that's all going to come together when it's all said and done. And so I look at this schedule for Colorado. It's a challenging schedule. There are some really tough games in there, which is why I kind of have a back and forth type season for them, an up and down swing type of a season. I think they start the season opener tomorrow night at home in Boulder. It'll be a pretty ruckus crowd, I would think. I still think the way Georgia Tech plays, they're a physical, punch you in the mouth type team, really, with a quarterback in Hayes King that puts his body on the line. They're a physical running team that is built through the trenches, and that's just never really been Colorado's strong suit. They're more about the skill and the sexy positions. I think Georgia Tech probably wins the season opener tomorrow night. There in Boulder. I think they go on the road and get a big-time win against Colorado. There's too many questions that I have for Colorado to give them a season opening win over Georgia Tech, who I think has got a lot more established with their head coach, Brent Key, at this point in time. So I have them losing that first game. Then I have them kind of going on a roll. They've got home versus Delaware. They can pick up an easy win there. They're on the road at Houston. Might be a little bit more of a challenging game, but I think they can get that done. I still feel like Willie Fritz is still building there at Houston. Home versus Wyoming. Think that's going to be a good win. Wyoming's kind of in a rebuild mode after losing Craig Bowl to retirement. And then the schedule really picks up with some challenging stuff. I mean, after the first 4 weeks, it really gets daunting. They are home versus BYU, and I actually am going to give Colorado the nod on the BYU game. I don't know why. It's just in my gut that says BYU is going to be able to win that game. That Colorado's going to be able to win that game against BYU. It's at home. I think that's the biggest reason why. But BYU, I'd feel different if Retzlaff was still the quarterback, but he's gone. BYU's breaking in a new quarterback. That loud environment on the road there in Boulder, I think, is able to give the Colorados enough of a push to get the Buffaloes enough to get a push and get that win. So After losing the game to Georgia Tech in my schedule, week 1, they rattle off 4 straight wins to get to 4-1, probably maybe in the top 25 at that point in time. Then the schedule really turns up. They go on the road to TCU. I don't like their chances there. I mean, that was the game that was the coming out party for Coach Prime. It was. Remember a couple years ago, TCU and Colorado. I mean, that was where Travis Hunter showed up, and that was just a humongous coming out party. TCU's had that game scheduled on the calendar for a long time. They're going to be riled up for that. It's down in Fort Worth. That's going to be a loss for Colorado. They come home, they take on Iowa State. That's not a great matchup. Kind of the same thing like Georgia Tech, a physical team that doesn't beat themselves. I think it's a loss there for Colorado. Then they lose again. They go on the road to Utah. I just think that is a house of horrors for anybody besides maybe Baylor. That's one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the Big 12. It's a house of horrors going to Utah. Very difficult game there. And I think Utah is going to be much improved. So so after getting to a 4-1 start, they lose 3 in a row. They get to 4-4 heading into the month of November. And then over the course of the month of November, I think they're able to finish 2-2. I think they can get wins against Arizona. They can probably win a game at West Virginia, although that game is going to be much tougher than it would be for what Kansas faces West Virginia early in the season. By that time, West Virginia is going to have some things figured out. They're going to be more believing in their coach, I would think, and their system. That's going to be a tough game. That's a very big coin flip game there at West Virginia. But I'm going to give the Buffaloes the win there. Get them to 5-5, get them to what is 6-4 at this point in time with 2 games left. And then they have at home versus Arizona State, at Kansas State. And I think those are probably 2 losses to end the regular season. And so you finish with a 6-6 record. So I've got Colorado going 6-6. So once again, that will be Colorado 6-6 with losses to Georgia Tech in the season opener, TCU on the road, at home versus Iowa State, at Utah, home versus Arizona State, and at Kansas State. West Virginia could be a huge swing game. It could be the game that decides if they go to a bowl or if they stay home. There's just so many questions around Colorado without their star quarterback in Shadur and a lot of their key pieces off to the NFL. Who's going to step into those roles, and can they fill those roles at the same level? Because it took those guys to get Colorado to just bowl eligibility. Do they have those type of guys on the roster now? We're going to find out. So I've got Colorado going 6-6. Jared chiming in. He's predicting an 8-4 record for Colorado this season. And I think that's a fair assessment, Jared, particularly if things come together. Particularly if I just don't know. What is Colorado going to do? They were so pass heavy because they wanted to put the ball in Shadur's hands. Are they still going to do that? Are they going to be more of a running team? Is the quarterback going to be more of a runner? There's just is the defense going to take another step, or are they going to kind of stay where they were? There's so many questions, and more questions than typical because of what was there the previous couple of years for Coach Prime to work with. What is the clay like now that he's got to try to mold? I'll be very intrigued to see what that looks like here in the coming times. But yeah, he's got, by the way, Jarrett's got Utah beating Kansas State in Utah. Oh, Jarrett, they're going to lose at least one of those games. I can't see that happening. I can't. Maybe you'll be right, but I don't know. I don't see that happening for sure. But yeah, there me. I've got a 6-6 finish for Colorado at this point in time. Too many question marks that need to be too many questions that just need to be answered at this point in time. That's right. I will laugh now, Jared. But I'm looking at a 6-6. Now, if they go out and they beat Georgia Tech here on Friday, all of a sudden that record changes for me. That's the thing. That's the thing about making season predictions. Doesn't matter if it's a 9-3 prediction for Kansas State and Nebraska, or a 7-win prediction for Kansas, or a 6-win prediction for Colorado. We don't know until they play the games. We don't know until we see what other teams have. We could think that Wyoming, for example, in the case of Colorado, could be a horrible team. They could have this new coach. They could be an upstart team and have a big upset win. You just don't, and could end up being a top 25 team, maybe make it as a charge for the playoff spot. We don't know. In today's college athletics, because of the movement of players and coaches, you just don't know when it all could come together and click for a program. You could think a team's going to have a terrible season, and they end up winning it all. Case in point last year, Arizona State. We just don't know until we get into the games. And the best part is we don't have to wait any longer. Games start really in full swing today. So very, very exciting for sure. Thanks again to the FB Bank text line chiming in. with all kinds of stuff. Steve from Binkelman with a GBR. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. I know we've got other Husker fans out there. I know Michael's talking about game day, but Michael, unless I'm mistaken, that's tomorrow. They don't play Thursday. Kansas plays tomorrow on Friday. So I think you're off, Michael, unless it's another sport that you're talking about. But if you're talking Jayhawk football, I believe that is tomorrow when that is happening. And also, thanks to the other texters that are chiming in as well on my phone. So I figured it would blow up when I brought up Nebraska. But hey, it's game day, and I'm excited for tonight. 7:31 Mountain, 8:31 Central Time. We'll take our first time out. When we return, we're talking more high school football. Continue with our area football previews. Travis Smith, Golden Plains High School head football coach, joins us. It was a busy summer for him, whether it was in his personal life or coaching. We'll talk about all that and the expectations for a really good Golden Plains team here in 2025. That's next here on the Blitz.
At F&B Bank, we believe local businesses are the heart of our community. That's why we're more than just your bank. We're your neighbor, your customer, and your biggest supporter. From the corner cafe to the hardware store downtown, we're walking the same streets, shopping the same shops, and investing in the same future, yours. We're here, we're local, and we're always in your corner. F&B Bank, banking built on community, member FDIC.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland, and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning, Cheerthal with the Andersons in Overland Park, Kansas, with your morning market update. Thursday, August 28th, in the overnight session, SEP corn down 3/4 of a cent at 3.81 3/4. December down 3/4 at 4.05 1/4. March down half a cent at 4.22 3/4. December 26 down 1 3/4 at 4.49 1/4. Soybeans on the September up half a cent, 10.27 3/4. November unchanged, 10.47 1/2. Jan down 1/4 of a cent at 10.66 1/2. KC wheat on the SEP down 1 3/4 at 4.83 3/4. Dees down 3 3/4 at 5.09 1/4. March down 3 3/4 at 5.30 even. Chicago wheat down 3 1/4 at 4.99. Feeder cattle yesterday finished at 365.45. Live cattle 243.25. Lean hogs 93.90. Crude oil futures down 4 cents at 64.11. Gold futures up 16.80 an ounce at 3,422.90. Silver up 47 cents at 31.19. U.S. dollar index down 27 points at 97.85. Dow futures up 68, 45,710. S&P futures up 4,500 even. If you need to move any cash, grain, or want to talk about risk management, you can reach out to myself, Jared Law, Tom Sluter, or Tyler Ghosh at 913-748-3000. If you're out in Colorado, you can reach out to John Hankey or John Stiles at 970-744-4484.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice.
Fees and zero commissions? Well, then you need to check out Hayden Outdoors' new online equipment auction platform. You can list your equipment in our monthly online auctions using our easy-to-use platform, and you don't pay any fees or commissions. Visit HaydenOutdoors.com to learn more. That's HaydenOutdoors.com.
Start your day with a blitz of sports news, analysis, and interviews.
Sounds like a pretty damn good deal to me.
This is the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Don't worry about the weather outside. I think this cloudy weather is going to break away. See some partly cloudy skies today. Temperature is going to be in the mid-70s again, but it's definitely cool and 65. Got a rain report this morning from over there northeast of Quinter. Had an inch 60, so quite a bit of water there. The streets were wet here in Goodland, but I don't think we got much in the piece of precipitation. So I think it was more further over east down in Gove County, who seems to get a lot of rain a lot of the time. There was some stuff over there, Colorado, Lyman, Seabird area, but nothing really in these parts here. But I did see a rain report this morning of an inch 55, inch 60 over there northeast of Quinter. So nice little rain shower for sure. But cooler temperatures going to continue to stay with us. Temperatures in the mid 70s through pretty much the rest of the weekend into Monday, it looks like at this point in time. Okay, let's get to the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline, where we are pleased to be joined on the phone by Travis Smith, Golden Plains High School head football coach. Good morning, Coach. How are we doing today?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's great to have you on. I got to start off first and foremost talking about the summer. It was a very eventful summer. You're part of the 6-man All-Star game. You got married. I mean, how was the summer? Had to be one of the top ones up there, I'm guessing, in your personal life.
Oh, it was a great summer. Great summer ago. Got the win in the All-Star game. We won 52-22 over the Colorado South and got married and went to Cancun. And here we are starting football.
Worked on that tan, so you are all ready to go.
I did. I mow here in the summer too, so I get a nice little tan.
I'm sure that you're looking good, ready for the season to kick off here in a week. Travis Smith, our guest here on the Morning Blitz. Coach, when last year was a really good year for Golden Plains football. How do you hope that the guys kind of learn from that experience last year and that successful season to help build for what could be a really special 2025 here this year?
Yeah, last year was a really fun season. Our kids, we started off strong against Moscow and had a real good game against Ingles, even though we lost. And, our kids this year, Dylan Warwick and Diego Perez, our two returning seniors, they've are trying to instill that leadership that they learned from our seniors last year. And we've hit the ground running. Since we put on pads, we've had some really good practices, and I'm really proud of our kids and how hard they worked and getting ready for next week.
When you talk about, like guys like Dylan Warwick, he's one of the top 6-man players in Kansas this year. How have your top guys, including Dylan, how have they improved their game, you think?
About Dylan, he also runs cross country, so he's a dual sport kid. And I tell you, his endurance is incredible. He's a fast kid. He's got good endurance. He's really taken on that leadership role this year, and I'm really, really, really proud of him. He's not a real vocal kid, but man, he is a hard worker. And then we have Diego Perez. They've both been 4-year starters. And Diego, he's a real physical kid. He's gained about 15 pounds over the summer. He's strong and fast. And our kids really follow those two leaders. And man, I'm sure proud of them. And our underclassmen have really come along and followed those two.
Once again, Travis Smith, our guest here, Golden Plains High School head football coach. It all begins in the summer months, as you know, Coach. How was the weight room participation? Did you guys get together and do some stuff throughout the summer at times? How did the summer months kind of go?
It went really well. Dylan really led us in the weight room this summer. Had a good group of underclassmen, which is really good to see because they've really bought in and they want to be the future of our program. We meet every Monday night after weights, and we practice, and then we have a little team camp to end the summer and to try to hit the ground running. It really leads into the season, and we can get going once we start and put the pads on.
What do you really focus on during those team camp sessions through the summer? What are the focuses?
We really, really work fundamentals. We are really young. We have some quality upperclassmen. We have some sophomores that are really going to have to step in this year. So we kind of went back to the basics this summer and, worked on stance, work on pulling, just the little things, run fits. So we really wanted to be able to start the season with these younger kids because they're going to get plugged in and start for us. So we want to be able to get them up to speed and ready to go. And that's what we did this summer.
You mentioned these young kids. How many of the, first and foremost, like how big is the roster this year? And with these young kids, are these guys that are just going to be up there kind of playing their first varsity football action, or do they kind of get a taste, maybe playing some special teams or some spots plays here or there?
So we do have 18 this year out for football, which is a really good number. Since we've went to 6-man in 2016, we've seen our roster grow from year to year. We're really proud of that. Our kids in our community have really bought into that. Our sophomores did get a taste of some varsity action last year. We were able to get up big in games early, and it allowed me to put in some of these younger kids. For instance, Kelby Beeler will step in at our center position. He played particularly special teams last year, but he did get some reps at center. Christian Garcia is another sophomore. His brother Miguel started for me last year as a senior. He'll step in and take his position, and both those kids worked their tails off in the weight room this summer, and they're both physical kids. And I'm really excited to see where those two grow this year.
Travis Smith continued to be our guest here on the Morning Blitz, joining us via the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline. He's the Golden Plains High School head football coach. Every year is a new year. I always talk this with every high school coach, it's particularly in football. Every year is a new year, and sometimes you need guys that were contributors to kind of switch positions or make things different. Is that going to happen this year, or do you feel like you've got guys to plug in places that the holes were left?
We really didn't have to switch a lot of guys around. The one position that we left a big glaring hole was quarterback. Josh Rath was an all-state defensive player, but he was also had been our quarterback for 2 years, and he really stepped up last year and improved. So we're kind of having to mix and match in different sets with our quarterback position. Right now, Diego Perez will be that main quarterback. But, we have a younger kid who actually skipped 8th grade and is going to be a freshman this year, is probably going to be, our future when it comes to being our quarterback. He'll come in a little bit and throw the ball around. I'll try to protect him some with some slants and some quick game and try to sprint him out a little bit. But right now it's going to be Diego to start the season. We'll probably be a little more one-dimensional than I want to be to start, but that's okay because, we're pretty physical up front and we can run the ball with the best of them.
You kind of answered my question there. Where do you think the strength will lie with this team? Whether it's, running the football, passing the football, maybe it's in the trenches, maybe it's a skill position on the outside. Where do you think the strength of this year's squad will be?
Early, it's going to be running the ball. With Diego and Dylan, Dylan's he's an incredible football player. He's just a great athlete, and it shows that when he's able to, run cross country in the morning and then come to football practice at night, and you can't even tell he's been out running 6-7 miles. But he's just a great athlete. So those two in the backfield, and then I have a junior named Connor Keir, transferred from Oberlin last year. He's got a lot of speed. He played quite a little bit in the backfield last year. So with those three. And then I have Jose Rios. He's a returning tight end for me. We'll be able to run behind some of those guys up front. And early on, that's good because we can pound the ball a little bit and let our passing game develop over the season.
What do you think is what results in more points usually in 6-man football? For those who don't watch on a consistent basis or maybe have never seen 6-man football, I mean, there's lots of new unique rules and things like that in the game that people might understand, and different things that coaches can do to help put their players in the best position to have success.
It's kind of crazy coaching in the All-Star game against Colorado with Coach Clow and Cantrell from South Barber. When the Colorado teams, they're basically tight, unbalanced, and they're going to run the ball at you every down. It's going to be toss or counter, something like that. Kansas, we're a lot different. We're more spread here. I mean, obviously, we do still run the ball, but our offenses here are a little bit more diverse. We're a little more spread, and that's where you can still run the ball on a spread. So that's where we kind of our teams out here kind of score and do all that kind of stuff. It's from the spread game for us here in 6-man in Kansas. And we love it. I mean, we can do a lot of things from it.
How have the first week and a half of practice gone so far? What have been the things you've been impressed with? What things you're really hoping to get hammered out before that first game?
It just depends on the day, and that's typical of high school football. Typically when we put pads on early, it's not very good, but that's been the opposite this year. Our kids, when we started putting the pads on, we kind of clicked a little more, and it made me feel better as a coach because we struggled early in a few early practices with new guys coming in, learning schemes. We struggled. We put the pads on, Diego's a physical kid, and the kids feed off that. So we've been able to have some physical practices. Last night wasn't the best practice of the year, but it's something we can learn from. We got to be able to come into practice every day and be focused and be ready to go. And, high school kids from time to time tend not to be the most focused people in the world. But we're going to learn from that. And we're going to have a better practice today. But, I would say I'm very pleased with our progress for as young as we are in some positions. And I think, next Friday when we go to Moscow, we'll have a good game plan. We'll be ready to go.
Travis Smith is our guest, our Golden Plains High School head football coach on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. Tackling is such an important thing in the game of football. And in six-man, I feel like it's just even more, it's even a bigger thing because there's a lot of one-on-one tackling that you have to make, particularly if you get guys out in space. How do you go about working on tackling and the physicality part of the game without putting, your team in the position of possibly getting a guy hurt? Because that's always a tough thing, particularly for small schools. And even though you have a good-sized roster this year, you always keep that in the back of your mind.
Yeah, you want to be able to hit and practice, but at the same time, as young as we are, we have some guys that we just can't get hurt. So I stole an open field tackle and drill from Chris Walden, the former coach up at Cheyenne. We call it a corral drill. We put our guys in a box, and open field tackling is key in six-man. So we tell those kids, you can cut, you can twist, you can do whatever you want to as a ball carrier to try to get our tacklers to settle our feet down, climb up the ladder, make good open field tackles, because you can look bad in six-man because it's wide open, and if you miss a tackle, it's right there on film for us to see. So we really worked on form tackling more than I ever did in eight-man, and just because we want to make sure that we're not getting kids hurt, and where it's so wide open, it's easier to work on getting our feet settled down and things like that. So that's what we do. We have tackling dummies and the tackle wheels and things like that. We use more than just doing the old Oklahoma drill, wherever it may be.
Once again, Travis Smith, our guest here on the Morning Blitz. When you look at the schedule this year, how do you think it lays out for your team?
It's pretty tough. I don't know who our AD is, which is me. We go to Moscow and Ingles the first 2 weeks. So we got 3-hour road trips to start the season. We go to Moscow week 1. They'll be tough. They got a lot of returners. And then Ingles, that'll be a tough matchup for us. They're going to be good on the defensive side of the ball. They lost 2 really, really good seniors in Langston Northern and Breck Averhoff. So offensively, I think they're still going to be coming around, but defensively, they're going to be tough. So that's going to be a good early season challenge for us. We play Wheatland Grinnell in a 6-man game here in Rexford. They're dropping down next year into the 6-man division. And then you have, of course, Weston and Northern Valley is going to be an up-and-coming team. They have a lot of experience coming back. So our schedule is pretty tough.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's going to be – and I think, I was visiting with Coach Clow about this earlier this week, and, just the strength of Western Kansas 6-man football is hard. I mean, if you're going to come out of the West, you're going to be a pretty good football team.
Yeah, our communities have really bought into the 6-man game out here, and it's great. Our league is next year will all be 6-man except for Logan. So it's really built up well out here. We wish we could get more buy-in in the eastern part of the state. I think we're going to see that here this next cycle. We're hoping to be up to 30 teams in our 6-man division, which is great to see the growth in the 6-man game in the state of Kansas. But the western part of the state is tough.
I think, once again, I can't remember. There is a team somewhere playing over here that is playing someone way over east, like one of the few 6-man teams. They're like meeting in Kiowa County or something like that to play the game. I think that in Greensburg, I think that's what's happening. But yeah, it's very, very interesting for sure to see this 6-man sport grow. And I'm glad you brought up the communities. I was curious, how excited is the community, of Rexford, and of that surrounding area, of Dresden, all that stuff. How excited are they of this era of this 6-man football? What's it like around town these days?
It's great. Last year, our community really got super pumped about our season, making to the semifinals of the 6-man division, and we got a lot of buzz around our team with Dylan coming back and Diego come back and Jose Rios coming back. So there's a lot of high expectations on this team, and that starts from practice, and we got better practices. But I think our kids are excited. Our community is really pumped about it. You get to see a lot of it on social media. So I think we're getting ready to go.
Coach, what do you hope to see out of your guys here over the next couple of days to know that you're ready to face off this tough start of the season, particularly at the opener at Moscow?
I think focus and being accountable. I think when we get to practice, when we hit the practice field, I think we have to know why we're there. We're not there to have fun. We want to have fun. Don't get me wrong, but we want to be focused, and we want to have some attention to detail, and we want to be ready for that Moscow game because they are going to be physical. They're always physical down there, so we need to ramp up a little bit our physicality in practice and just our overall focus.
Once again, he is the head football coach, Golden Plains Bulldogs. That's Travis Smith. Travis, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning. Really appreciate it. Look forward to catching up with you as the season gets rolling.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Once again, great stuff there from Travis Smith here on the Morning Blitz. As going to be a really good season. I think Weston Golden Plains, it was a big time matchup last year. I think it'd be another big time matchup this year. And like he said, Western Kansas is really embracing this, and particularly Northwest Kansas, really embracing the six-man football, and it's really growing fast and getting some really high-quality teams out here in six-man. It should be some really good games. Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show with some thoughts from the drink scrimmage last night for Goodland High School. You're listening to the Morning Blitz.
Are you ready to add a touch of sparkle to your life? Look no perfect one to cherish forever. From stunning engagement rings that symbolize eternal love to exquisite necklaces that complement your style, we have a dazzling collection to suit every taste and budget. So come visit us at Zimbelman's Jewelry in downtown Burlington today and discover the magic of jewelry that celebrates life's precious moments.
Looking for a delicious meal on the go? Stop by Cowboy Corner in Goodland, Kansas. Start your day with our classic biscuits and gravy or enjoy a fresh, made-to-order sub sandwich for lunch. Whatever you're craving, we've got you covered. Our friendly staff is always ready to serve with a smile. And while you're here, check out our convenience store, filled with snacks, drinks, and everything else you need to keep you going. Whether you're fueling up or just hungry, Cowboy Corner has something for everyone. Stop by today and enjoy great food, friendly faces, and a variety of snacks all in one spot.
At Wilkins Truck and Trailer in Goodland, Kansas, they offer a huge selection of used trucks, trailers, golf carts, UTVs, and shipping containers, all backed by knowledgeable staff and competitive pricing. From their trusted brands like Peterbilt, Freightliner, Great Dane, and Wilson, you're sure to find the right fit for your needs and budget. With flexible financing and a commitment to customer satisfaction, they make your shopping experience simple and hassle-free. Stop by on Highway 24 in Goodland or call 785-899-5454 for Wilkins Truck and Trailer in Goodland, Kansas.
Summer's ending, school's here, and Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland has the trucks to keep you moving. A 2025 Sierra 3500 Pro, $1,000 purchase allowance or 3.9% for 48 months. A 3500 Denali, $2,000 purchase allowance or 3.9%. Or Sierra 1500 over a $6,000 purchase allowance or 0% APR for 36 months. Make this school year the smoothest ride yet. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas, or shop online anytime at hurlchev.com.
Wake up, shop fresh, and gather round. It all happens at Terrebonne on 11th Street in Goodland, Kansas. Grab breakfast or lunch at the Bakery Cafe, where every bite is made from scratch. Stock up in the fresh market and pantry. Hand-cut meats, local produce, and goodies hot from the oven. Then unwind Friday and Saturday nights in the Gathering Garden, a dreamy dinner spot, or the perfect place for your next party. Fresh, local, delicious. That's Terrebonne, where Goodland gathers.
As kids head back to school, it's the perfect time to get your home and yard ready for fall. At Hooper Lumber Ace Hardware in Colby and Goodland, they've got you covered. From all-season ultimate fertilizer and building materials to cozy patio heaters and furniture. Fire up family meals with a Traeger grill or Blackstone griddle and give your home a new look with Benjamin Moore paints. Whatever your project, big or small, Hooper Lumber Ace Hardware is here to help. That's Hooper Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Your community, your projects, your ace.
It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Did you eat a lot of paint chips when you were a kid? Why?
Your daily dose of sports.
All right, got about 5 minutes till the top of the hour here on a Thursday, August the 28th. Once again, temperature is going to get into the mid-70s. Right now, mid-60s and overcast outside the KKCI studios in Goodland. Got some more updates with some rain reports. Got about 1.70 in Park, another 20 points in Oakley and Angelus. Oberlin getting 55, getting a half inch here last night. So yeah, a few more rain reports coming in here this morning, and appreciate those on the F&B Bank text line. As we can wrap up the show here real quickly, wanted to get to some thoughts from last night's drink scrimmage for Goodland High School Athletics. Able to stop out there and watch some of the football and volleyball games and just kind of check out some of the things going on there. I'll start with and of course, visit with a few of the athletes as well as they get set for the 2025 season. And I guess I'll start with the obvious statement is that I think Goodland girls golf is going to be really good. There is a confidence, there is a swagger to those girls that they believe that they're going to be really good this year. And when your top 3 golfers are playing close to 30 rounds of golf over the summer, you're going to be, I think you're going to be in pretty good position. Now, can the next 3 come up and help support the top there? I think Goodland could have maybe the best top 3 lineup in all of 3-2-1A, but they're going to need some help from the 4, 5, and 6 golfers to help them, to relieve some pressure, as Coach Goods did. But you can tell that Connie Livengood is very happy with the work that her top golfers have put in the off season, and that they're ready to showcase what they can do here. Could be a really special season for Goodland Cowgirl golf. Last year finishing in 3rd. This year could be even better, even sweeter. So we'll see how it all goes. They are changing a few things in the formats, which is interesting. But I don't think it's going to impact it enough to possibly throw things off for the Cowgirls. But Goodland golf is going to be very good. Visiting with the Cowboy and Cowgirls top runners for cross country, and particularly Jason Gable. She's confident and it looks to be like she's very driven this senior year, dealing with some injuries and things. And during the track, she's very driven to have a really great capper to her career in cross country. Volleyball was probably the most surprising one. Last year, the Cowgirls really struggled to find the win column and did find a little momentum late in the season. But there's some confidence amongst those seniors. They really like what they saw early on in the summertime. They like what they've seen during camps. They like what they've seen during this fall camp getting ready. They loved what they saw at the Jamboree. They joked how we never played good at the Jamboree, but we were great at the Jamboree in Phillipsburg. So they're really confident, and they have the feeling of a team that's going to rebound from I'm not saying they're going to go and win state or anything like that, but I think that, from being a single digit win team last year, I think they're going to easily surpass that this year. They've got a lot of confidence. They're changing their systems up a little bit. So I feel good about Goodland volleyball. After visiting with Coach Angie Brumbaugh and the seniors, they feel very good about 2024, and they love some of their young pieces. They got some more young pieces coming up. They're going to be contributors. So exciting times for Cowgirl volleyball for sure. And Goodland football, kind of watching that last night and visiting with Coach Jordan Mosier, probably the sport I have the most of the pulse on, I would say. They're redesigning a lot of things. They're gonna look differently in some areas. Got to move some pieces around. That's what you have to do. They certainly have speed. I will give them that. They have got some guys that can motor. They've got some guys that can run, and got some guys that can move. The question is, can they get those guys the space that they need to showcase that speed? Can they create the holes in the running game? Can they get them on the edges? Saw a lot of, passes, even in warmups that were not completed. Saw a lot of pitches that were dropped or not completed back. Once again, I know it's a scrimmage, and I totally understand that, but got to clean those things up with how they want to go offensively. And Coach Mosier believes the defense is going to have to maybe carry them here early on in the season while they iron out some kinks offensively. Hopefully they're a good tackling team. They do have, 2 of their better tacklers back in Gavin Price and Ethan Herenick, and we'll see. There's a lot is gone from last year's team. And so they're, like I said, moving a lot of pieces around, but they've got some great speed. The question can be, can they become more consistent on the offensive end? I think that'll be a really, really big piece. But there you go. Just a few thoughts on the Goodland scrimmages yesterday that I was able to check out in some conversations that I had. By the way, once again, Goodland tennis, girls tennis in action today over in Waukene. Best of luck to Coach Holleran and her ladies at that.
High drive, deep left, grand slam!
And back lifts his ball deep to right. How about a walk-off Brady? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes flings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Kind of bearing the lead a little bit here in the walk-off, but Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice has accepted a 6-game suspension. I thought it was only going to be 4, but a 6-game suspension for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy from what happened back in March of 2024 with that high-speed crash. But he's going to miss some very big games. You know, the season opener in Brazil against the Chargers. He's going to miss games against the Eagles, Ravens, and Lions before getting back in Week 7 against the Raiders. So Chiefs are going to miss him. Hopefully other guys stay healthy for Patrick Mahomes' sake. In baseball, Royals, 8 runs in the 5th inning. They blast the White Sox 12-1 last night. Salvador Perez passing Amos Otis, 3rd on the all-time RBI list with 993. Royals are off tonight. Rockies, though, try to finish up a series against the Astros. They lost 4-0 last night. Dollander looked good, though. 7 strikeouts in 6 innings, just giving up 1 run, but the offense, obviously with the 0, could not capitalize. That series wraps up today, 12:10 Mountain Time on KLOE. And, boy, I'll tell you what, head coach Sean Payton for the Broncos is quite the salesman. They're able to keep quarterback Sam Ehlinger in the building after releasing him on cutdown day. Payton persuaded him to turn down active roster offers to join the Denver practice squad. Ehlinger looked great, the former Texas quarterback in the preseason. 2 touchdowns, 415 yards. So back up Bo Nix and Jared Stidham. What a job there. That'll do it for our program. Don't forget tonight, Nebraska football opening up its season at Arrowhead against Cincinnati. That kickoff is at 8 Central, 7 Mountain Time. You can watch it on ESPN. All right, that does it for the show. Thanks again for listening. Back again tomorrow on a Football Friday. We'll have the College Football Power 5 to get to. Look forward to that. This is the Morning Blitz. Have a good one.
Classic rock plays here. This is Rocket 102.5.